This is Reverend Ruth on Story Bar with Angel Healing Ministries. How are you all doing today? As you can see, I'm in my sanctuary, and I still got the St. Patrick's thing going. I still have some. I'm still decorated a little bit for St. Patrick's Day, at least here, up here in my sanctuary. And you've seen that. I don't know if you've seen the house. It was all decorated for St. Patty's Day. I think I showed in one of my other videos. But I wanted to sit here and say hey and tell you about something that I've been focusing on. I know, and I think it's going to help all of us in many ways. First of all, it starts with acceptance, and then when you accept your situation, especially even if it's a temporary situation, and basically we have those moments where when we're in a temporary situation. First, we have to accept what's going on. Things haven't aren't exactly going to change right away. I mean, as much as we want them to change right away, we have to be patient and we have to think, okay, I guess, we're gonna have to be patient and let it happen. I know it can be very discouraging at times because sometimes a temporary situation doesn't feel like one. You feel like it's gonna be permanent. Like you can't really find a way to make a plan unless you have the full picture, the full story, especially if you want to move forward. And many of us want to move forward in life. So that's why I tell you all, even we accept the fact that you're in a situation where you are, you accept the fact and know that it's a temporary situation and that it's all going to change when the moment is right. And not many of us realize that at first. We'll be like, oh my goodness, why aren't things changing? Why is it still in this situation? I wish things would change. And, you might not want to, you might feel like giving up, but then you decide, if you give up, then what? You're going to have to deal with it later again in another time. So why not just deal with the temporary situation, accept it, and deal with the temporary situation, and it will change as soon as the opportunity presents itself. But there might be a lot of steps you have to take before the situation changes. A lot of you may know what's going on right now with the car and everything, and for me, that's a temporary situation. And I have to be patient that it's all going to work itself out at some point. They may have a difficult time finding this person, but it's a temporary situation again. Like my mom being in the hospital is a temporary situation. At least I can look at it that way, but I'm in the process of trying to make a plan of what life's going to bring, because I can't act as I can act like those things aren't going to change, but it's better just to say, okay, I may not know the way that this is going to change, but God has a way. And with temporary situations, like Joel likes to call it the valley. And right now, you may feel like you're in the valley. You're in between a situation where you're not 100% sure how it's going to work out, and you really want to know. You need a plan. If I can't see the plan ahead of me, how am I going to create a plan for the present? If I don't know what's going to happen here or what's going to happen there, do I know if I'm going to get my car back? No, I don't know. So I have to, I really can't, I can try and make a plan and I can try and act as though I'm working on a plan, but it would be nice if we could see the full picture at stuff. That's why we tell ourselves over and over again that it's a temporary situation. And when it changes, it changes. Because I'm discovering that when I worry too much about a situation in front of me, I'll get headaches or something like that. Like recently I just had a migraine this morning and stuff like that. But and it lasted about, oh my goodness, I think 4 hours, something like that. Oof, yeah. But that was because I can't see the future right now. I can't see what's gonna happen with my mom. I can't see what's gonna happen with the car. Uh and it is a temporary situation, although it feels like it's taken forever. And that's when we have to say again, I repeat myself, God, God, I may not have a way, but I know you do. And you have to focus on what's in front of you. You've got to focus on what can you do presently now to to get yourself focused, to figure things out. Maybe you could make two plans, look at the situation. I think I just might do that myself, actually. That sounds like actually a very good idea. Make a plan for saying, like, okay, maybe this, if the situation changes, what's the plan? And the other one, what if the situation doesn't change? What's the plan? Like, for example, what if your family member comes home from the hospital? What are you how you gonna pursue it? What if you don't? If you're what is your plan if your family member doesn't come home from the hospital? So maybe you should work we should work on like two plans, because that might actually be a good idea to come up with two different plans, and then once the answer comes, once we know what once we further know what's going on, maybe, just maybe, we like, let's say, for example, if my let's say the patient comes home from the hospital, then you focus on the plan that you wrote for what are you going to do when this happens. And if it doesn't, this way you have like two, I guess, yeah, maybe that makes sense. This way you have two plans written out. You still know you're in a temporary situation, but now you have two plans in front of you, and you can pursue whatever plan is when once the bridge comes that you're going to cross, my friends. Then you pick which plan is going to make sense. You know, I'm glad I did this video, because I didn't even think about that. It just, sometimes I get amazed at certain things. Like, has it happened to any of you where you're talking things out loud to yourself, and you're thinking through it, and then you almost answer your own question, which looks like that just happened here. Um, but I do have to keep in mind what I am in is a temporary situation right now. I may not know how it's going to turn out, but I know God has a way. I know that it's going to work out in some way, shape, or form. But in the meantime, I could make a plan for both situations in front of me and decide from there which one to take once the bridge happens to come along. The road shows itself, appears, or reveals itself, and this way I have two plans written out in front of me, and I could choose whatever plan feels more appropriate. So maybe what I should be talking about is temporary situations, and make a plan. I was wondering how I just solved my own problem, it looks like, and that's very interesting. I mean, that's something we should talk about in the future. About, we solve our own problems sometimes. We find a resolution on our own. And once we find that resolution, we should just write everything down. We should write it down like a plan. And it looks like that is something I am going to do now, because I just learned something that I wasn't aware of right now. But in the meantime, my friends, though, if you're in a situation where things don't seem to be going right, um, then, just, trust and have faith that they're going to work out. And if you're someone who likes to have a plan, which looks like a good idea, then write plans for two scenarios. And the moment that's all taken care of, you'll know what to do. If you follow me, um, write down two scenarios for both, and then you have an answer for whatever choice you're going to have. And I think in reality, it's definitely good to have a plan but really you need to take the time to accept. And once you accept it, you need the time to really reflect and think through and look at the situation in front of you. Look at the different possibilities that are before you. This way, and write a plan. And not many of you are going to feel that way about it. Some of you may handle things another way, and that's okay too. It's just things appeal to different people. People have their own ways of resolving stuff, especially when they're in a temporary situation. We're in the valley. We're in the middle of this one and that one, and in the valley you figure things out. Kind of, I think the valley is a place where you relax and reflect and figure things out and write things down if you're one of those types of people. Or you may already have your plan up here in your head, and you may not need to write it down. But there's some of you that are out there that will. I know I'm definitely one person that has to write things down so I can have the blueprint in front of me to see what I have to do next. And that, I feel, in many ways would be the best way to live. It's interesting how it took just it took me a few moments to think it through, to sit quietly like I did all day. I was thinking about this for a large part of the day, a large amount of the day after the migraine went away. I was thinking about it after talking to a few people. I was thinking about it a lot today, and I just answered my own question, not even realizing I was solving it inside my own head. So we all have special gifts that we may not be aware of at first, but they're there. We just have to find the courage to unlock that gift and understand that if we're in a temporary situation, there are other ways to handle situations. And I think that helps a lot because everyone has a different way of handling a temporary situation they're in. Some people will look at it and say, "Well, I don't. It doesn't look like there's a way out," and that's the wrong way to make the choice and go, because there's always a choice. There's always a way to get past it. As we all were growing up, and our mentor, and as we met all these mentors along the way, it helped us because they would remind us when we had the opportunity, they would remind us about things. And I guess that's why we have certain people in our lives, friends that remind us. We may not get the answer right away, but when we take the time and we step away from a situation, and we release it and let it all go, it gives you you and me the time to think things through. And I guess today was a day for me to think things through, figure out what direction I was going to go in. But it also was very important that I realized what I'm dealing with right now is a temporary situation. And it's all going to change when it's meant to change. Joel talks about that in a lot of his sermons, how it's a temporary situation. Don't worry, you're not going to be there for very long. There's something to learn within that's why it's happening. Because I'm a strong believer of everything happens for a reason, and not many people can follow that, because there's always a reason for everything. There's always a reason for, if you get for example, let's use this for an example. If you're driving your car somewhere, and all of a sudden you hear that small still voice inside your head that says go in the other direction, and and it's always good to listen to that small still voice, because that's the voice of God, your guides, your guardian angels talking to you and letting you know and protecting you. Kind of like that. I think I told this I think it was sometime last year. I told this story about I went to take care of something in my yard, and I fell. And then I was falling, and then all of a sudden there was nothingness, and then I felt someone catch me. And then and when I looked around, there was no one there, but I felt somebody was there. I felt that God had sent one of his angels to catch me so I wouldn't get that badly hurt, because after that happened, I was fine. I was sitting perfectly fine. And because something or someone caught me so I wouldn't get hurt. And there are things like that that do happen in this world. Call them miracles, call them blessings. There are certain, and call them protection from your heavenly Father, or your God and Goddess, or the universe. Because when it's not your time, my friends, there's always a way that when it's not your time, God, universal spirit, God and Goddess, they find a way to keep you safe. When it's not your time, it's not your time. But when it's your time, it's your time. And it goes the same with temporary situations. There's a reason you're in that temporary situation right now. Maybe you're missing something. Maybe you're not seeing something. Maybe you didn't take enough time for yourself to take it easy or focus on yourself. Maybe you're a caregiver like myself, and and you haven't been taking good enough care of yourself. So certain situations happen, like a family member going into the hospital, like my mom went into the hospital. The fact that she's in there is giving me the time to work on myself, figure things out in my life, which direction I'm going to go, and things like that. It gives me time to talk to my counselor and chat with her when I need to chat with her. And maybe, just maybe, the reason that all happened was because I wasn't taking enough care of me. And that's another important sermon in the future, but I think I did this once before as a reminder. It's always important to take care of you. Just remember, you accept your situation, and then remember and know that it's a temporary situation that will soon clear up. Just have to be patient and have faith, my friends. And take that time when you're in the valley to figure things out in your life. Don't sit there and brood in the sadness or the depression. Come up with a plan. Figure things out. Because the more you focus on you and get yourself going and you get your plan in place, then at least you have a roadmap to work with, or a blueprint. Thanks. We love you. Namaste, and have a blessed day and night. And we'll talk to you real soon. And this is Reverend Ruth on Star Your Bar with Angel Healing Ministries. And if you like this video, please click the like button and subscribe. We love you. Namaste, and blessings to one and all. Thanks. Bye.